This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Our meteorologists are forecasting dangerous heat starting Tuesday.
We have infrastructure issues.
Because of the mail-in ballot ruling with the SAVE Act is even more important.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Hotter than a firecracker. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. Well, we get it. It's summer. Some days are going to be hot, but this week is shaping up to be dangerously so for many parts of New York and Pennsylvania, evidenced by heat watches and advisories that have been posted.
Our meteorologists are forecasting dangerous heat starting Tuesday through Friday, with Wednesday and Thursday expected to be the hottest days. In many parts of our state, that'll exceed over 100 degrees. And because the overnight temperatures are expected to be still elevated, many New Yorkers will not have the opportunity to really cool down after sunset.
The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, who recommends the very young and the very old limit their time outside. Meantime, Pennsylvania State Senator Gene Yaw is worried about how the aging electric grid is going to respond to the heat wave.
We have infrastructure issues. We build these things and then we haven't taken care of them. And it's the same way with power.
Meteorologist Ken McKinley has the up-to-date forecast for your area later in this newscast. Well, win some, lose some. By most accounts, that's how it went today for President Trump at the U.S. Supreme Court. Perhaps the biggest loss from his perspective, a ruling that mail-in ballots postmarked by Election Day but received late will still be allowed to be counted.
Because of the mail-in ballot ruling, which was a little bit surprising, gives people more time to vote illegally, let's say. But the SAVE Act is even more important.
House Speaker Mike Johnson on that controversial SAVE Act stuck in Congress right now.
We're just going to make sure you have to have proof of citizenship to register to vote and then show an ID when you turn out at the ballot box. These are 90-10 public opinion issues and more than 70% of Democrats want to do it.
Well, Democrats are angry with Trump for holding up passage of a bipartisan housing bill over the SAVE Act.
We will get it passed while the Republicans are still in control, or the Democrats will take over and we will get it passed with the Democrats in control. But we will get this bill passed.
Elizabeth Warren likely coming tomorrow. Long anticipated rulings on birthright citizenship, campaign finance limits, and so-called LGBTQ rights cases in a couple of states. Next to the situation in the Middle East, which is quiet at the moment, ahead of a set of side talks set for tomorrow over continued clashes despite that ceasefire. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Fox.
As far as we're concerned, we're holding up our end of the ceasefire. Violence will be met with violence. If Iran chooses to be a bad actor, they'll prove themselves to be the pariah of the Middle East.
U.S. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz.
If the Iranian regime thinks for a second that President Trump is going to stand by while Iran continues to attack international shipping without a response, or our bases without a response, they're sadly mistaken.
The latest wave of chaos began with an Iranian drone strike on a ship traveling through the Strait of Hormuz that led to the U.S. military carrying out retaliatory attacks against Iran. The federal trial for Luigi Mangione has been pushed back to next year. He's accused in the 2024 shooting death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan. Jury selection will begin January 5th, opening statements later that month. In Venezuela, a sound of hope. An American rescue team pulling a baby from the rubble of one of thousands of collapsed buildings in Venezuela. Confirmed deaths in last week's Venezuelan earthquakes, now about 1,700, rising rapidly. Tens of thousands of people remain unaccounted for. Several Christian relief organizations and faith-based networks are actively responding to bring emergency medical supplies, food, clean water, and shelter to victims in hard-hit areas like Caracas. Find out how you can be part of the relief efforts when you go to familylife.org/relief. NBA veteran Malik Beasley has been indicted on federal sports gambling charges. And according to ESPN, citing Beasley's attorney, the charges are related to a sports betting scheme. Federal prosecutors allege that Beasley rigged his performances during multiple games in the 2023-24 season while he was a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, what's your take on artificial intelligence? There's a new poll out on regulating AI.
An Artificial Intelligence Policy Institute Institute poll shows that 68% of respondents said they would be in favor of the government making a formal review process for the most advanced AI models before they can be widely released. When looking along party lines, 64% of Republicans, 76% of Democrats, and 63% of independents back the formal review process. The findings come as efforts to restrict data center construction have gained steam at the state and local level. I'm at Mattinson.
All right, still to come here on the 5 o'clock report. We'll have a recap for you of our top regional stories, some wise counsel on church security, and a look at one of the oldest, grandest sporting events around. All coming up after Weather with Ken.
This is meteorologist Ken McKinley with our Family Life forecast as we head through tonight and through the next couple of days. Heat and humidity, the weather story across the region. We'll see a weak warm front pushing through overnight tonight. Might result in a few showers or thunder showers in some central New York locations late tonight and tomorrow morning. But otherwise, a good deal of sunshine coming up for tomorrow. All areas should see temperatures above 90 degrees tomorrow, except for perhaps the Lake Erie shoreline areas. And then by the time we get to Wednesday, sunshine in all areas, high humidity and temperatures well into the 90s, some spots in the upper 90s on Wednesday afternoon. Be careful over the next couple of days if you're going to be outdoors. Make sure you stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, and go inside and get some rest if you need to from time to time.
All right, thank you, Ken. Checking the stories, making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania state budget is due tomorrow, and for the 5th year in a row, lawmakers are not expected to make the deadline. Here's Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
Last week, the state Senate approved the largest tax cut in Commonwealth history. It also includes a 2-week sales tax holiday in August for school supplies and $25 million for school choice scholarships. A boost in the state's minimum wage and recreational marijuana are major sticking points in budget negotiations. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Sarah. A loose water bottle is the reason for the driver's distraction in the fatal Pembroke Tour bus crash. 5 people died, dozens injured last August. NTSB documents show the driver, Bin Shao, had bent down to pick up the bottle to throw it away when he lost control of the bus, overcorrected, and flipped it onto its side. He's facing manslaughter, negligent homicide, and other related charges. His court date is next Monday. Well, as America prepares to mark its 250th anniversary, a Northumberland County, Pennsylvania church is calling it a day at 2:35. Christ United Methodist Church in Northumberland held its final service on Sunday, an emotional farewell for members like Charlie Young.
We were married here in April 1977, and then I had the privilege of walking our daughter Jenna down the same aisle that Deb walked down when we got married here. On Tuesday, the lights will go out and the doors will be locked for the final time. But the memories will last a lifetime.
Church leaders say declining membership and crumbling infrastructure made that closing unavoidable. Well, the Chemung County, New York Chamber of Commerce has rolled out an ice cream trail passport. It highlights 15 different ice cream shops across Chemung County, from Horseheads to Waverly to Elmira. Kids, as you might imagine, are loving it.
Fill out those passports.
Yay!
It works like this. You snag a map, which looks like a game of Candyland, collect stamps at various ice cream shops around the county. When the map's full, you turn it in for a prize. Alexis Rolston is the Chemung County Manager of Tourism.
We have a lot of really amazing ice cream shops in Chemung County. Everything from handmade ice cream to long-standing ice cream locations, and we just wanted to shine a light on them. And last year, we saw a lot of out-of-county visitors that have a favorite location here in Chemung County, or they came from outside of the county because they heard great things. And this just brought a lot of visitors into our community to try our ice cream shops, but then to also shop in our communities and explore our county.
Rolston tells WENY she estimates the trail in Chemung County would generate an extra $150,000 for area ice cream shops. Up next, highlights from today's Noon Report feature. It's a closer look at church security with Dr. Barry Young at Serving Watchmen. Last year, there were over 600 mass shootings across America. Dr. Young has more than 20 years' experience in law enforcement. He spoke with our Bob Price about how to go about best protecting your house of worship.
Since 1999, there have been over 1,700 violent church incidents, and the vast majority of these are preventable. I'm wondering if we could just start off by having you explain, when it comes to church security, what most concerns you?
the number one thing that concerns me about church safety is churches don't take it serious. CNN just came out. It was on the front page of CNN.com. The most dangerous hour in America, 11 a.m. Sunday morning.
Wow.
And then a month later, Fox News came out, and on their front page, it said in 2023, violent attacks in the church doubled last year. And I think it's interesting. Rarely do Republicans and Democrats agree on anything. Yet the number one Democrat outlet, the number one Republican outlet, are both saying church violence in America is at a catastrophic level.
Yeah. You argue that when it comes to security, you have to become your own first responder. What does that mean?
So we live by a phrase. The Bible says in Proverbs 22:3, a wise man sees danger and prepares. And we live by this phrase, let's prepare and prevent, so we don't have to repair and repent. You know you're doing church security correctly when the church becomes more friendly, and you know you're doing church security incorrectly when the church becomes less friendly.
I know a lot of churches have security teams, but is it enough? I mean, that's the big thing. You argue there's a difference between having a church safety team and having a church safety ministry. In what areas are churches ill-equipped to deal with the threats out there today?
Well, I think, first of all, you nailed it. Our heartbeat is we don't train church security teams, we train church security ministries. I think there can be extremes. So one extreme is we're just going to trust God and we're not going to do any preparation. And then I think the other extreme is, well, we're going to have bouncers in God's house and be scary or intimidating. Our goal is to be loving, to be kind, but also, Matthew 10:16 says, be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. And so I think the first thing churches make a mistake on is not being friendly. What happens is, do criminals want to be seen or unseen? The moment everybody is greeted, we have many instances where a potential threat is greeted by a loving church member and they leave the church. Criminals simply don't want to be seen. Oftentimes when it comes to church safety, we forget one of the biggest cornerstones of church safety is protecting our children. The number one lawsuit forced against the American church is misconduct or mishandling of children.
That's a great point. And more so than even with schools, which kind of have a lock the doors, keep everyone out. In church, they want people to come in and be part of the community, and you want to be friendly and accepting and all of that. But, as a friend said to me once, you got to put your big city on sometimes and de-escalate situations before they happen. Lock doors. You mentioned the kids and the background checks with people who work with children. There are a lot of areas that are being missed when it comes to church ministry in the name of being that inviting kind of welcoming environment. Is that not the case?
I totally agree with that, and I want to laser focus on schools. So when we first started serving watchmen, we were focused on church safety, but what happened is public schools kept coming up to us. This last fall, we trained 21 schools in lockdown training, and an operative word I want is lockdown. So in a public school, if a public school receives federal dollars, 100% of staff are lockdown trained. And my question is, what percent of churches have lockdown trained and certified their kids ministry workers, their Sunday school teachers for children? And so I would say easily less than 1%. I understand why guns or physical force could be a controversial issue, but in our lockdown training, we teach 16 ways to lock a door. We teach how to verbally diffuse a situation. We teach how to professionally break a window. And the reason we do that, if there's a threat coming down the hallway, one of the highest ways to save your life and your loved ones and your children, break the window and get out of the building.
That's Dr. Barry Young with Serving Watchmen, an expert on church security. You can hear the entire feature and all of our Family Life original news features at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and FamilyLife.org. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
What if the answer to your exhaustion isn't doing more, but receiving the gift of rest? Hi, I'm Rob West with another Faith and Finance Minute. Many people assume burnout is the price of a meaningful life, but constant exhaustion is often a sign we're living beyond the limits God designed for us. In Genesis 2:2, we read, "And on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done, and he rested." God wasn't tired. He was showing us that rest is woven into creation itself. That means rest isn't something we earn after enough effort. It's a gift we receive in trust. Humanity's first full day was not spent working for God, but resting with Him. When we embrace that rhythm, we're renewed for faithful work, deeper love, and wiser stewardship. We can help you learn to manage your money according to biblical principles when you download the free FaithFi app. You'll find it on our website at faithfi.com.
Thank you, Rob. Finally at 5. The most famed tennis tournament of them all got underway today at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club in suburban London. As the world has changed, Wimbledon has done its best to not. From its meticulously maintained natural grass courts to its Victorian-era dress code requiring players to wear mostly white, all the better to hide perspiration stains, they also suspend play on the middle Sunday of the 2-week tourney, or fortnight, not the video game. The first Wimbledon held in 1877. They added a ladies' tournament 7 years later. It's also famed for serving patrons strawberries and cream. Wimbledon doles out about 75,000 pounds of strawberries every tournament, along with some 29,000 bottles of champagne. But please, no popping your cork while play is underway. And that's the world we live in for Monday, June 29th, 2026. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.